Welcome to the Alternative Dog Moms Podcast. I'm Kimberly Gauthier, creator of Keep the Tail Wagging. I've been blogging about raw feeding, pet wellness, and life as a crazy dog mom for more than 10 years. I've seen massive improvements in my dog's health since I began raising my dogs naturally, and I'm passionate about sharing my experience to help other pet parents.
I'm Erin Scott from the Believe in Dog podcast. For more than 10 years, I've been researching and learning everything I can about healing cancer, allergies, autoimmune, and mystery illnesses in both my dogs and myself. And I can't wait to share with you everything I've learned in case it could help you too. As the Alternative Dog Moms, Kimberly and I are bringing you all the latest dog health news that we're following and the brilliant people we're meeting along the way. Now let's get started. Hello, Kimberly.
Hello, Erin.
So, one of the coolest things about doing this podcast is that we have gotten to talk to people from all over the world. And we have another international guest with us today, one of the co-founders of Tvati, Sean Cahill. Welcome.
Thanks very much. Great to be here.
Thank you so much. I know it's early there for you, but we found a time that worked.
We did. Yeah, it's great to be here, and I'm really excited to share what we do on your platform there.
Oh my gosh. So where do we start? Do you want to start, Kimberly?
Yeah, let's start with an origin story. What brought you to the pet space? What brought you to your product? What was the connecting pieces that made you, come out with Tvati?
Yeah, well, thank you. My background, I'm here in Sydney, Australia, where I was born. My mum's from Samoa, which is a Pacific island. And in our culture, um, we don't use tablets to heal things. We use plants as Mother Nature intended. And when we are sick or have ailments in the Pacific Islands, we go to our plantations and identify the plants that our ancestors had educated our grandparents to identify the correct plant. And that's where the story of Tvati starts. I'm one of the co-founders of Tvati. And our founder is an amazing human being called Dr. Graham Matheson. He's originally from the Cook Islands, and he was awarded a scholarship to come to Australia from the Cook Islands to become a doctor. And during the stage of cooking, so we call Dr. Matheson Cookie. So when I refer to Cookie, it's Dr. Matheson because he's from the Cook Islands. So Cookie, during his studies, he was invited to do bone morphogenetic studies at the University of New South Wales here in Australia. And while doing those studies, the head of the lab is a guy, an American called Dr. Bill Walsh. And as they started to get to know each other better, he said, look, we're doing these studies on bone morphogenetics for these American companies. He goes, but in the Polynesian culture, we use plants to heal. And the professor gave Cookie the look of, really? And he said, yes. And after a bit of convincing, Professor Bill Walsh turned around and said, well, there's my lab, prove it. Over the next 10 years, Cookie had brought the plant to Australia and identified species to be able to do the studies on and proved that it was a topical. So it's basically two ingredients that is identified in Tvati. It's the hibiscus bark that we use, that we harvest by hand. And the other ingredient is organic coconut oil. So we harvest the bark off the tree. We use ethanol to extract out the actual oil of the bark. And the other ingredient, as I said, is organic coconut oil. So the unique thing about Tvati is that it's a topical. It's not injected. It's not induced. So it's not something you need to put in food or ingest or put locally or try inject to the area. It's a topical. So this is something that we're really proud to share with you guys in regards to being a product that's 100% natural, that contains two ingredients. It's part of our traditional Māori Polynesian medicine that our ancestors has handed down to us, which now has scientific proof via a PhD, which was published here in Australia, which then Cookie took it a step further and was awarded global patents on not just the formulation of Tvati being an oil that's topical, but also because it actually grows bone, soft tissue, and cartilage, and that's what our ancestors intended the research to be carried out, because when we have our athletes in the Cook Islands that play international sports, they typically don't go to the medical systems to be healed. They go back home to use our traditional medicines for those ailments, etc. So, yeah, that's a high level introduction to what we do. And sorry, my sons are getting up because they're all heading to their different sports this morning. It's Saturday morning here in Australia, so it's a bit noisy here. So I do apologise about that.
We don't hear any of it. You're okay.
Oh, great.
So yeah, so I'm really curious. So the scientist, Dr. Walsh, was he just blown away and shocked by this like traditional medicine and that we can prove it through modern science?
To be honest, I think he's still blown away. You know, when you think about products that pharmaceutical companies sort of take to market, they typically all derive from plants.
Yeah.
We just kept it simple and didn't need to refine it more and more and more. We just refined it because that's what our ancestors have handed down to our grandparents to hand down to us, to be custodians of keeping it simple. And again, we've kept it as simple as possible because that's what Mother Nature intended, to heal simply and heal naturally. So there's Tvati, as a fact, is the only topical in the world that assists in what we do. Now, we started this journey off in the human space. My background's professional soccer. So, playing professional soccer overseas, we understood what it meant to recover from injuries, but also the risks that professional athletes take when trying to heal from injuries. And that's where we started with Tvati. We took it back into the sports arena, and that product is Tvati Traditional. It's our traditional medicine, and we named it Tvati Traditional. So today we have many, many athletes around the world and non-athletes using our product to assist in just daily function with mobility and joint conditions. But during this stage of assisting athletes and humans with those types of conditions, we fell into uh, horse racing and dog racing, be totally honest. And my background's not horse racing. It wasn't anything to do in racing, full stop. And one of the athletes had a horse, and he said, "Hey, my horse is broken down. Can I use Tvati on the horse?" And I'll be honest, I said, absolutely, because in my culture, in Polynesian culture, there's no such thing as a product for a human or an animal.
Mm. Mhm.
It's the one thing fixes all. So I sent another batch out for the horse because I was like, absolutely, we can help. And within 3 months, this horse it was a fractured hock, had multiple fractures within the hock. And the vet basically said that this horse needed to be put down because it was too acute and too severe. The vet, the owner and the trainer of the horse rang me, and they said, "Hey, we've taken this horse back after 3 months, and the vet can't see where the fractures were."
Oh,
And I'm
wow.
like, "Fantastic, great, awesome." And he goes, "But hey, the horse has had its first race, and it's won by a fair distance." And I'm like, "Oh, congratulations! I'm really happy for you." And he goes, "Yeah, but we want more." And I said, "Oh, is the horse still injured?" And he goes, "No, we have another horse that's injured." And I'm like, "You guys are doing something wrong here." So we, by accident, fell into horse racing, barrel racing, cutting, eventing, show jumping, and all those types of things because word of mouth spread very, very quickly that apparently there was an oil that you applied to the horse's withers, so right up on the top of the neck of the horse, that it absorbs in via the skin and assists these animals systemically. So again, yes, this horse had a hock injury, but you don't need to apply Tvati to the actual site of
Mm.
the injury. And that's where I'll go back because during the studies that Cookie carried out, the species that we were doing all the studies on, every single test was on the animal's neck. And it was to make sure that the efficacy of testing the product and everything else for acute fractures, soft tissue damage, tendons, etc., was measured as best as we could, and it showed a huge rate of significant healing during that time.
So that's the part that really blew my mind is like, you don't have to put it where it hurts.
Or that
Yeah,
it's not that it's topical and not oral. I mean, that
correct.
is so contrary to everything that we have gotten used to when it comes to treating anything. We go and we take a pill or we get a shot.
Or like
And
I
Or
even use like arnica,
yeah,
but it's like I put it where it
mhm,
hurts, I put it on my shoulder or
mhm,
something, and so I'm like, how does this work?
well,
yeah.
and this is the interesting thing because, look, I'll be honest, we'd still, as I said, work in a significant way in the human space, and typically, I'm the one on the calls. I'm the one, answering questions along with our team, which is very small. And it's like, hey, we can't believe we're in zero pain. And I replied back, I said, oh, thank you so much for the feedback. And then they say to me, oh, but I'm not sure if this is a placebo. And I reply back and I say, please stop taking the product. I get an email within a week and they say, I can't believe how much pain I'm in. And I'm like, is that a placebo? But again, and then falling into the animal space has been the most rewarding thing in the world because what we quickly learned was there's no such thing as placebo. It either works or it doesn't.
Mhm.
And then the people, to be honest, that really annoy the life out of me, then go out and become our biggest advocates because they see it with their own eyes.
Yeah.
And this is where, from working within the racing industry, the vets were saying, hey, can this product be used on companion animals, dogs and cats, etc.? And I'm not a vet or a doctor. This is just something I've grown up with my whole life. I have the privilege of sharing our story and what we do with our audience and all our family and friends. And I'm like, well, if you're prescribing Tvati for a horse, what do you think? So they're saying, can it be used on dogs, etc. So they were like, oh, we're getting heaps of questions because every horse owner owns a dog.
Mhm.
So the owners were seeing the horses turn around in a significant way, and their dogs are getting older and have hip and joint mobility conditions, arthritis, etc. And then the vets were then starting to prescribe it for companion animals or working dogs. In Australia, we have significant cattle farms, etc. We have a lot of working dogs here. And within a short period of time of these working dogs using Tvati, they were like, hey, we need more. We've got 15 dogs in our pack. We want to use this product. And that's where we sort of fell into the companion animal space. And where 10 months ago at Super Zoo, we launched Tvati Pet. And there's two of us. There's myself. There's three of us, sorry. There's Dr. Matheson, Romeo Kekic is our co-founder, and myself. Romeo and I went to Super Zoo last year in the emerging brand section, and we're like, well, let's back ourselves. The demand from America was coming in thick and fast, and we're like, let's go educate and see what happens. We didn't think that many people were going to come to the emerging brand section of Super Zoo, and we were probably the most busiest stand in the whole of the section because people are going, what do you mean this is topical? What do you
Mhm.
mean that this is only got two ingredients? And what do you mean that this works on joint and hip mobilities around conditions around arthritis? And we had, look, we're two Australians that have come to America, know nobody there. And we had all these people turning up who we had no idea who they were. And then we found out they were some of the best vets across the American market
Mhm.
and some of the biggest independent retailers in the American market, where now 10 months later, we have grown way too quick, to be totally honest. Um, we've had to make more calls back to the Cook Islands to our family members over there to say, hey, we need to harvest more. Because so when we harvest in the Cook Islands, we don't use zero machinery to harvest. We harvest everything by hand. We harvest only a third off any given tree. And it takes a significant amount of work just to do the harvesting process. And this is where, it's very humbling that the American market has welcomed us with open arms, but have seen the results for themselves where we're not a business that's gone and spent, I'll be honest, a shit ton of money on advertising because we just didn't have the money.
Yeah.
We went out with true intention around education and allowed the pet parents and vets to make the informed decisions on the scientific studies that we had, the history of the product and where it'd been used and how. And then, these vets had come to us and said, you know what? I've got some customers and some clients that we feel this could really help. And it helped. Within a really short period of time, these dogs, which were a lot older, had gone off their food and they weren't eating. So they couldn't put chews, they couldn't put powders. They didn't want to go back to the vets and get more injections, where now they were applying Tvati to the dog's neck like you were giving the dog a hug. And within a short period of time, these dogs were back on the food. They were back doing exercise and they were jumping back onto the lounge. And again, it's the most proudest thing in the world that we're now providing a product that is 100% natural, and within 10 months has now literally spread across the whole of America.
Mhm.
Will you be at Super Zoo this year?
100%.
All right. Well, Kimberly and I will say hello.
Oh, I can't wait
Ugh,
to see you guys there. That'd be
yeah, we'll be
amazing.
there this year. Yeah, last year is the first year in a long time that I haven't been, so it'll be exciting to meet you in person. But so when
Absolutely.
it comes to the joint benefits, so I understand that, but since it's going on the back of the neck and it's basically going into the body and to where it's needed, have you noticed any other benefits besides joints?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So when we're talking, when we first started with Tvati, we were working with animals here in the Australian market in New Zealand from the acute phase, so from fractures, etc.,
Mhm.
from tendon tears, right? So with fractures, etc., post surgery, they were applying Tvati to the horses or dogs' necks, etc., and they were seeing zero within a very short period of time. It was healing very, very fast, so they could not identify where the fracture had occurred. When it came to tendons, the tendons had completely snapped. So what had happened, the vet had gone back in, sewn it back up. Within a short period of time, when they went and checked where the tendon had been sewn back up, they couldn't feel any scar tissue. But when they did the scans, etc., there was zero scar tissue, but they couldn't see where the tendon had been sewn up. So so from the acute phase, from the soft tissue damage, etc., that's where we've seen the biggest uplift, because we've been able to give these animals their daily function back, to give their families more time outside. Because as our dogs age, we've seen their activity go back up to where it used to be from a lot younger age.
Mhm.
I mean, mobility, whether it's people or animals, like mobility is your quality of life, I feel like. And, I'm seeing that with like my dad who needs a knee replacement.
You think about it though, but if you don't use it, you lose it.
Mhm.
Right, and I think that's the biggest thing for us, because uh, being in the companion space for a short while now, it blows my mind that breeds within 1 to 2 years of life have these significant hip dysplasia issues and everything else, that pet parents are throwing the kitchen sink at trying to identify how they assist these animals. Now, again, Tabati, it assists the animal systemically. So while yes, we may think it may be a hock issue or hip dysplasia, etc., then that means the animal's overcompensating for something else to occur.
Yeah.
While we are a product, and this is where I love the fact, being systemic, it's assisting the dog overall, but it's also not being applied locally, because if you're applying something locally to where the animal is sore, you're aggravating that area more unnecessarily. And that's where the key thing that I always try to educate is that it's systemic, because again, there may be micro fractures within a bone as we start to deteriorate. It's assisting in the fact that we can start healing or supporting that micro fractures or micro tears within the soft tissue area.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking, Kimberly, of like all the dogs with the CCL tears and
Yeah.
Well,
those surgeries are so brutal and expensive.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking is, it reminded me of just going back to feeding fresh food and how, we and tell people you're going to save money at the vet. And this is just another product because to be honest, it's expensive. So when you look at it,
yeah,
you're going to have a knee jerk reaction of, ooh, I don't want to spend that much. But on the flip side, you consider if your dog is injured and you have to keep your dog still, which is so hard, especially if it's a younger dog, and the amount of months that it takes to recover from an injury, the cost of the surgery, and like you brought up, Aaron, with the CCL tears, because they're compensating, they usually opposite side usually goes out. So it turns into this like basically over a year of rehab and surgeries and medications and keeping the dog still. And it's, when you compare that to this product, it kind of brings it back into perspective.
well, Kimberly, the number one thing that you touched on, and I think is the most critical thing with any animal or mm, in with anything, is diet, right?
Mhm.
Tavati's not everything, and nor will it be everything for pet parents or humans, etc. And this is what does my head in because we've got pet parents that use Tavati and it's an investment. But my coffee costs $7. I typically have two a day, right? So they say, look, we've been using Tavati. We're seeing some difference. And I'm like, great. Can you please tell me what your dog's diet's like?
Mhm.
It's horrific,
Yeah.
horrific. And these people should be locked up, right? Honestly. And
Well,
the thing for me is that I get that not everyone can afford it, but when you look at what breeds these animals are, they cost a significant amount of money just to invest to buy these animals, and that's a privilege.
yeah.
But then they go give these amazing dogs the most horrific diet you have ever seen in your life, and then it's like, but your product doesn't work, and I'm like, but you need to look at everything, and the key thing that we need to look at is diet,
Yeah.
right? And so then you talk about the investment to buy Tavati. Well, it's interesting because it's so for Tavati Pet, it's $199, right? But I ask the pet parents when I speak to them, do me a favor and go to your cupboard where you keep all the stuff for your dog. And then tell me when you open that cupboard, all the stuff you have in there how much money you spent on everything you've got in your cupboard, and you tell me whether that was expensive because it's never worked, right?
Yeah.
And when you wind things back and put things into perspective, that this coffee right here, which is small, it's a strong, by the way, cost me $7. And I have two of these a day. And then I may go somewhere else in the afternoon and, buy something else. What is
Mhm.
it worth what investment is worth it to you? And if you break down the cost per day to assist your animal in living a longer, healthy life that's not is benefiting them, but also your family. How much would you spend in using something that is 100% natural, that's assisting your animal systemically, right? So we released Tavati Pet into the American market as a, a massage oil that assists in joint and mobility conditions. And that allows us to bring the product into the American market and then for our community to see the added benefits on top of daily functions, et cetera, around joint and mobility. And so it is an investment. There's no doubt about that. But when we pull things back and you look in that cupboard and things have been sitting there for 6 to 12 months or even longer, add up what you've spent and then tell me it's expensive.
Well, yeah. I mean, for me, where I live, I look at that $199 because when I saw it, I was just like, "Ee, that's a lot of money." But then I
Yeah.
thought, with my senior dog, she's almost 13 years old. Just to take her to the vet to see the vet is gonna cost me 65 to $70. That's my walk in the door fee, and
Wow.
for the vet to look at my dog. So that's almost half of the cost. And
That's
then
nearly 140 Australian dollars.
I mean, it's a lot of money. I mean, it's gotten to the point where, you know, having a pet is almost, something that not everyone can do. Because
No.
I mean, if you're going that route, which is why I'm so passionate about feeding my dogs a healthy diet, making sure that they get exercise, making sure they spend time outdoors, all of those
Absolutely.
type of things, because that is what keeps me out of the vet's office. But, so $65, $70, then on top of that, the medication that they're going to give me is not only there's another cost. I mean, basically, I'm going to walk out of the vet's office spending about $200. And then on top of that, there's the side effects of that medication. Because before they give you the medication, I have to have blood work done on my dog. And the blood
Oh,
work's going to
man.
cost about $200 probably. I mean, it's one of those things where it's going to cost me probably upwards of, close to $500 just to have my dog have some relief from the pain, but no healing, just pain relief.
Yeah.
And so there's a perspective that I think people should, like what you said, is look in the cabinet. It's like take a few steps back and really think about, when if you're doing what you're doing now, which is typically for many people is going to the vet and doing all of these all the steps that I mentioned, it's going to be twice as much as the Tvati.
But if you're working a full-time job, right, and I've got 3 sons, and my sons are playing sport, they're at school, they've got, different activities and all the rest of it. If I've got to try booking an appointment to the vet, it takes me ages. And I'm being serious, right? It takes me ages. And then you get there, you got to get the dog, you got to leave work early. You've got
Mhm.
to organize someone to pick up the kids. You've got to get your dog, go home, pick your dog up. And as soon as you put your dog in the car and my dog knows we're going to the vet, it's the worst thing in the world.
Mhm.
And to be honest, our vet is fantastic. He's a great guy and all the rest of it. But from my perspective, it's again, Tabati's not everything. I think people should look at multiple different products to be able to assist in the dog's mobility and longevity and all those types of things. But being an at-home support system for families is what difference it's making for Tabati. Because Erin, you said before your father has to have a knee replacement, etc. The investment, but also the time that it takes. So then post-surgery, your father then needs assistance, and all the rest of it. Now, my mum, she needed a double knee replacement, and my parents have a farm here in New South Wales, and they work the farm. My mum uses Tabati, and look, she forgets to use it, and then she becomes sore, and she uses Tabati again, but she's never had to have a knee replacement 7 years later. And so, from my perspective, being able to assist people and animals naturally in mobility and daily function is the proudest thing in the world for me. And again, we're not a brand that's gone and spent $10,000, $100,000. We just haven't had the money because our
Yeah.
core focus was providing the best product for our pet parents in America to tell us, you know, it doesn't work. And that's why we've grown. In 10 months, we've grown so fast where we're potentially looking to go out to do a small cap raise because it's just been absolute mentalness, but we're trying to hang on for dear life because, to be honest, we don't want to go out and get investment because we don't want to change the trajectory of our business and the way we do things because we're custodians of what our ancestors have given to us to take out into the markets correctly and with intention.
So is it the type of product where you need to give it, like, constantly? Because you said your mom kinda uses it off and on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, can you use it that way? Like, how long will it work if you stop? Can you stretch it out? Like, how will
When
that work?
when we start, so depending on the size of your animal, so if we talk about 20 pounds and under, you use Tabati 3 times a week. 20 pounds and above, you'd use it daily. So typically we load for the first month. So essentially what we're trying to do is get Tabati into the animal as quickly as possible to assist with the daily function and everything else. And thereafter, you could use Tvati 2 to 3 times a week. Now, it all depends. We do see a huge uplift in the first 2, 3 months, and then it drops off for a couple of months, but then they come back because their dog starts to slide back into
Mhm.
slowing down again, not getting up as fast, or not jumping back on the lounge, or the family's walk becomes a whole heap shorter. So it's like supplements.
Yeah.
You can keep using them every day. ongoing. And again, so the investment therefore is stretched out. And we're very lucky because our pet parents, they invest into the product first. For the first couple of months, they'll come off. And then when they come back, they subscribe. And
Yeah.
that's been the best part because the subscription guarantees that they're going to be able to get their Tvati for either themselves, their horse, or their companion animal at home. Because again, as I said, we harvest by hand in the Cook Islands. So this is not something we just go to China or somewhere else and get a heap of product and just flood the market. This is something we do with true intention. And I think that's the other part that's been really well received, is that our market, is willing to invest in the fact that not only are they supporting Tvati as a business, but they're supporting the Cook Islands, because
Mhm.
our people are the ones. It's full cycle. We make a buck, they make a buck back home. Because in the Cook Islands, we have now reintegrated Tvati traditional back into the hospital system, which our people in the Cook Islands get Tvati for free.
Right.
So from our perspective, we would never try charge our people for our traditional medicine, because like my grandmother's no longer here, but I know if she was, she'd be giving me a smack across the back of the head. So it's very important, because for us to grow and to make sure that this is a sustainable business, that our culture and our people are part of the whole ecosystem.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I certainly appreciate that. I visited Hawaii last year for the first time, and it was just fascinating learning more about there's like a Polynesian cultural center, and like it was just fascinating to
Absolutely.
learn more about that part of the world.
Yeah, I've been to the cultural center there in Hawaii about 6, 7 times. So the Hawaiian culture is very similar to as part of our Polynesian culture. There's a significant amount of Polynesians there that understand, what we do and why, and we have a huge community in Hawaii, which is amazing.
So, because I was doing my research and I was trying to find the shortcuts that people would try to take. And so they hear about your product, they find that they the hibiscus, but then they focus on the flower and not the bark. And can
Yeah,
you explain like the difference between the flower and the bark?
the flower doesn't contain the oil, the bark does.
Mhm. Okay.
And so there's thousands of different variants of hibiscus all around the world. And the difference is that this hibiscus variant is only native to the Cook Islands. So as part of the process, when Cookie was going through the extraction process, they actually did look at the plant itself. There was no benefit in regards to what the outcome was to using the bark. And this is where, when Cookie was awarded the patents in every single major market, China, Brazil, and India all came in and tried to say, no, this is part of our traditional medicine, where it went to court and Cookie was able to uphold the patents, because this variant of hibiscus bark isn't available anywhere else in the world. And so, as you said, it's the difference is the plant itself, the actual flower, it contains a different type of nutrient that isn't used for what we use it for. But it does do other things, because we've got plants in the Cook Islands where it increases the layers of epidermis of skin.
Mhm.
So if you think about healing and those types of things, which during the studies here in Australia, we identified which plant it was, what it was doing, because Cookie had to identify, was it the bark that was assisting in, the rejuvenation of bones, soft tissue, and cartilage, or was it the flower that was assisting in the layers of increase of layers of epidermis? So there was 6, 7 plants as part of the study, and this product we've brought to market is only one stage of what we're going to be bringing into market into the future. So it's so exciting, because again, each product will contain 2 ingredients that is 100% natural, that is, again, topical. It doesn't need to be induced, and there's no way in the world we'll be saying to anyone to inject it.
Yeah, lovely. So when it produces cartilage, is it actually producing or is it basically inspiring the body to heal itself?
It's reproducing cartilage.
Wow.
Because Cookie funded this whole project himself. And he was basically funding this with credit cards, to be totally honest, because he had to try do this as quickly as possible because he was a medical student. He was working 3-4 jobs, and for him to try identify which plant it was, he had to load it up in the studies to try identify what it was. So during the studies, he cut a 20 mil defect into the ulna of a bone. And so when you cut a critical defect into a bone, it never grows again. Within 1 week of applying the oil to the neck, we had bone growth.
Was this like his bone?
No, so it's to a different species bone that they were doing the studies on. But again, to be able to identify as quickly as possible, because these studies are a significant investment. So the 20 mil defect was cut. And then again, within 1 week, we had brand new bone being grown back into the ulna. And this is where even Professor Walsh, scratched his head, and they had to do it several times to prove that it actually worked. Because in medicine, this doesn't happen. Even to the point where when they did a spinal fusion, they took the graft from the area of the hip, they grafted the bone onto the spinal fusion, and it took like that. But where they took the graft from, it grew back.
Wow.
And this is where, and so the unique thing is, it doesn't grow more bone, because that's the question we all get. Does it grow bone in other areas of where it's not needed? Well, no. It grew bone back where the graft was taken from. And I think for me, again, because I've had multiple knee replacements, playing sport and all those types of things, and I know when I'm taking grafts of my body to put somewhere else, that doesn't grow back. But that's where was during Cookie's study was the most profound part, because during the studies of the cartilage, it was woving the cartilage back into the knee, which is the most significant thing. And it wasn't just assisting with pain per se; it was essentially going back to rejuvenate the that area, which is just sometimes, when I'm explaining to people, I sort of have to sit back and go, wow, our product actually does that. Or when Cookie's on a podcast with me and he's explaining the story, I sit back and I just say, wow, it's amazing. But I'm a co-founder of this business, changing people's and animals' lives, which is insane to us, because they're seeing this for themselves. And that's why I was saying, in the pet space, it's the most rewarding thing, because there's no such thing as placebo, and the owners are the ones going out doing the talking for us.
And I saw that Dr. Katie Kangas actually is working with you guys now.
Yeah, so she's a phenomenal human being. And here's the thing. So we actually met them at Super Zoo last year, and the first person we saw who, because again, we don't know anyone back 10 months ago in the US market. Her vet tech, Jessica Lee. Yeah,
Jessica Lee.
she is an absolute firecracker, and she has a lot of hair and all the rest of it. And there was all these women walking towards Romeo and I really quickly. I'm like, far out.
What do we do?
They turn up and Jessica's like, I've used your product. I didn't want to use it on my dog. I'm like, oh my God, what have we got here? And then she was like, I can't believe it, because my ankle was broken, and within a short period of time, I'm in zero pain, and now it's fully healed. And my dog Hamilton's using your product, and I can't believe what it's doing. And this is Dr. Katie Kangas. And I'm like, can you just take a breath for a minute and just slow down? And that's where we met them. They'd taken the time to come and see us, and Katie was like, I need to know more. I can't believe what it's done for Jessica, but more so, I can't believe what it's done for Hamilton, because she's Hamilton's vet. And she just said, we've been working on this dog for years and years, and within a short period of time, they were like, she couldn't get in her head how this was a topical, what it was doing for Hamilton. And she's now our chief wellbeing veterinary officer, which I'm really proud to say. And she now recommends Tvati for whichever pets require what we do. And that's where we've grown, because, we've got Dr. Laurie Parker, Dr. Barry Sands, Dr. Judy Morgan, Dr. Andrew Simpson. We've got vets all over the American market that now come to us and said, hey, we've heard about your product. We really want to learn more. And then they've come on board, and the stories they're telling us back is just the most amazing thing in the world.
Yeah.
That's wonderful to hear. Yeah.
I just texted Jessica because I'm like, we're on a podcast and he's talking about you right now.
Yeah. Yeah, Jessica will send me a message soon. She'll say, I hope you're talking nicely about me.
She's
And
like one of my favorite people.
she's
Like
phenomenal. And I think for me, the key thing that Jessica did and what she said to us was, and what we've learnt a lot about, is that she used our product first before she would even consider it for her animal. And again, Tvati has been in the pet space for a short period of time, but the length that pet parents will go to blows my mind. And it's the most amazing thing, because I'm the same. I've got 3 sons. We don't give our kids tablets and medicines. We look at more natural alternatives, etc. And that's how we treat my animals. Right? So we've got dogs. My parents have got cattle and donkeys, etc. And it's the most amazing things when people see the difference for themselves and then make the investment into their animals, because we're so protective of our children, but also so protective of our animals, which is part of our family and an extension of us.
Yeah.
So are
Yeah.
there any conditions that are like contraindicated? Like if you know your dog has cancer, can you still use it? Is there anything like that
I'm going to be totally honest. If your dog's got cancer, we just say no. Because for us, we don't know is the answer. If you use Tvati, what will happen? And for us to take the safest option, we just say, we've got no studies or anything on the use of Tvati on patients or animals with cancer. So the safest thing for us to say is we don't recommend it for the animals that have cancer, or humans, or when your dog may be pregnant, etc. We don't have any data around that. But I'll be honest, in the Australian and New Zealand market, we do a lot of work in the equine space, and pregnant mares, typically when they're pregnant, they fall lame quite significantly. It's trying to keep them sound is a huge thing in the equine world, and we're seeing a significant uptake with the mares staying sound and the foals coming out really, really well. And this is anecdotal feedback, because I'll say to a pet parent, no, I don't recommend it for that. But the pet parent's always right.
Mm-hmm.
And so we will say, apply it to the neck, and, you can also apply Tvati inside of the dog or horse's legs onto the skin and rub in well. But I do know that there's people who do put Tvati within the animal's mouth, etc. And I'm just like, oh, man, what are you doing? But people they'll make their own decisions, and they're still seeing great results. And I'm like, but you don't need to put your animal through that. You just, like, I hug my dog. Bam, Bam, come here. Bam, come here. Oh, he's upset because one of my sons has just left and he didn't go because he's going to come with me. But I've got a cavoodle here, and I hug him 24/7. But essentially, when I'm hugging him, I'm just putting Tvati on his neck. And he's only 2 years old, but he gets it once a week. And what I do that for is prevention. So I look at, what can I give my dog Bam Bam as part of his growing up, exactly as what I do with my sons and myself. Like, having 3 sons, I use Tvati consistently because my sons play rugby league, they play soccer, we surf a lot. So I'm always applying Tvati to myself. So it's part of my well-being and my daily function process of the vitamins I take, etc. But yeah, with cancer, etc. And dogs that are pregnant, we just say the safest thing is just to say no.
Yeah. Makes sense.
It does.
And with people, do you put it on the neck too?
Yeah.
No.
That's what I had.
So with a product not needed to be applied locally, it's a bit hard to apply it to the neck. And myself, I apply it to the thighs. So the thighs are a good area of mass, but also absorption, because you've got a lot of main arteries that run through your legs. And so typically we say, after a shower, you sit on the side of your bed, dry off, and then apply it to your thighs and rub it in really well. And a lot of our aging population, they'll put it onto their thighs and they'll put it into their knees because it's just there and it feels good. So we always say you can put it onto your thighs, you can put it onto your hips, you can rub it onto your arms, wherever it feels comfortable for you. And again, I say to people, you don't need to apply it locally, but some people just like applying it locally because they think it makes them feel better straight away.
That's probably the placebo effect.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's why I love the animal space because it there's no placebo.
Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
I'm just still blown away. So it's bone, soft tissue, and cartilage. So, I mean, I feel like that covers pretty much any common
Well,
pet injuries that you would think of.
that's what our ancestors intended Tvati oil to be used by, and how to be used. How we bring it into the American market is for joint and mobility conditions. The rest is a bonus,
Yeah.
right? So again, when you're looking to bring products into the market, you have to bring it in under the FDA regulations of being able to register it and all the rest of it in the right and correct manner. And the formulation allows us to bring it in under joint and mobility conditions around arthritis. So that's why we bring it in as a pet massage oil because again, it's being massaged in, and it's the easiest way to articulate around the regulatory guidelines to be able to bring it into the market correctly.
Understood. What
Mhm.
about like post-surgical use? Like, let's say, you do decide to have your dog has a surgery after a CCL injury. Is that something that you could use like to help with post-surgical healing also?
Absolutely. And that's the benefit because again, if you're talking CCL, you're talking TPLOs with your bigger breeds and stuff like that. Absolutely. And the benefit again, you don't have to apply it locally because if you're having TPLOs, typically that area has been shaved. There's a significant scar down that area. There can be something around your dog's neck in regards to trying to stop it getting to that area, etc. But again, being able to apply Tvati to the neck or to inside of the legs, assisting up in the speed of the process of the support of that acute injury would be a significant way to heal that animal faster.
Mhm.
And could that be for any kind of like post-surgical use, whether it was like mobility related or not?
Yeah, I think more so around mobility would be the best option for Tvati, and I think 99% of most surgeries will affect their mobility in somehow. So from my perspective, it's again with what we've seen, yes is the answer to that.
Yeah. And so I know that it's doing this healing. Is it also reducing inflammation?
Yes, because what happens is so in the equine world, I refer back to the equine world because this is anecdotally where we've seen so much. The and again, I'm not a vet, and this is just me seeing it for myself. Directly after this, I've got to go see an equine trainer that the horse is broken down with it's called a pastern tear. So it's essentially a big tear within the area. And the vets are basically saying that this horse needs to be euthanized. And the trainer's like, we can't do that. I'm like, well, we need to load as quickly as possible for this horse. And another vet was saying, well, we need to inject Tvati. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Do not inject Tvati to the area. Please just apply it locally. Because again, we try educate, but vets and owners will always do what they think is faster or quicker.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
from our perspective, it's just eh, the benefit of Tvati we've seen in the animal space is the uptake of healing naturally. And the key thing that I keep on coming back to is systemic because there's a lot of things we can't see. So you're talking about post surgery will assist in the support of the recovery of this animal. We're talking about aging animals will assist in prevention of slowing down, etc., and giving them better daily function. And we don't claim to work around pain, but we know Tabati assists with this because the pet parents are saying, I couldn't touch this area before, and now I'm able to touch this area, and the dog or horse does not even make a move. right? So anecdotally, we're hearing so much back because in the equine world, we didn't know with chronic osteoarthritis. What we've seen is because Tvati is applied by the hand into the horse's withers, what people don't understand is it's also absorbing it through your hand because what's the biggest organ on your body?
Your skin.
Absolutely. And this is where the most fascinating part of what Tvati is because through animals, we've seen and heard so much things back where our horse trainers, our stables, or the yard assistants have come back to us and said, "Hey, I've got chronic arthritis in my back, but I'm in zero pain now. We're only using Tvati and we're applying it to the horse." But I said, "Don't forget, it's also being applied by your hand. So it's absorbing in via the hand and assisting them because it's treating them, supporting them systemically." And this is where we've had the biggest learning because we're constantly learning what Tvati is and does. We know we don't claim to work on pain, but we know with humans, it's assisting with their pain and daily function. And it's typically not the person in pain that notices it because they're just used to being in pain. It's their wife or partner because when they're getting out of bed in the morning, they're not whinging. And the wife's like, "Hold on a second, what's going on here? He's not carrying on like a, like a whinging every single morning." And now instead of, taking smaller steps, they're taking longer steps, or they're going for exercise and they're exercising longer, but recovering faster. And this is why we love working in the animal space because the learnings that we have learned has just been absolutely amazing. Because again, as I said, the equine space has opened up so much learnings for us in regards to what we know Tvati is, but then what side effects of the positive side effects that Tvati is enabling the pet parents. Because even with the companion space, it's a one it's so there's in one pack there's 30 vials. And so it's an individual vial that you break the top of the vial off and apply it to the dog. It's only 0.5 mil per vial. But over consistent usage of Tvati from the dogs, the pet parents are also feeling the benefit. So we're not only becoming the wellbeing partner for your animal, we're becoming your wellbeing partner for your family, full stop. And that's the most proudest thing because the discovery has been made by the pet parents.
That's
Nice.
amazing.
It
I have to
is.
try this with my old
I,
guy.
I know. I that's what I'm just sitting here like, yeah, I
Well,
gotta try.
when we see you at Super Zoo, I will gift you guys some Tvati to be able to use on your dogs, and then you guys can come back to me and let me know what you feel.
Yeah, we
Thank
both
you.
have 13, like
Senior.
12, 13-year-old seniors. Yeah, that are, and both of them are bigger dogs too.
Well, we talk about seniors again. I was talking about when your dogs go off food and stuff like that. Typically, you got to try take those dogs back to the vets, and that's a task in itself.
Mhm.
And what we're being told is the only real function around that or solution is a needle.
Yeah.
And this is where we found out a lot of things, especially through Katie and all these vets, that post Librela, that disgusting product that they have in the market, we've
Yes.
got a significant market in the American market where they've used Librela, but now using Tvati, and the significant change that they're seeing with their dogs has been significant. So, if we talk about hip and joint conditions with dogs, that's what apparently this product Librela is meant to do. Our vets are now none of them obviously prescribe Librela, but what they're saying is an alternative could potentially be Tvati for this industry. So again, being able to provide a natural solution where pet parents can make actual informed decisions and do something at home is very proud for us to be able to have this option available.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with no scary potential side effects.
Yeah, well, no, the side effect is that, you're going to be outdoors more. You're going to see your dog being happy more. Like, is that a side effect that you're willing to take for your animal? And it's yeah, it's hard for me to really articulate how many emotions that we have every day from pet parents telling us my dog was nearly dead. We
Yeah.
had no other options. We had nowhere else to turn. And we've got a product that's been given to us as custodians to be able to provide a natural solution to, the pet market and human market. And it's the proudest feeling in the world.
Yeah. I mean, it's like so many people want something with, two ingredients. I mean, because that's just it, is like, if it were a cheaper product, it would be inferior ingredients, it'd be a bunch of fillers, and it'd be, the fact that it's harvested by basically the custodians of the plant,
Absolutely.
is instead of by machinery, and is all of that is exactly what so many people want.
But
Right.
isn't that how Mother Nature wanted it? Isn't
Exactly.
that how Mother Nature wanted things to be natural and simple?
Yeah.
Like, we're the ones that have made things difficult and made things so much far harder than what it ever needed to be because we wanted to make a quick buck.
Yeah.
Like, we're I myself and my partners, we've invested our own money into this company. We're not out there as a big pharmaceutical or Mars brand or whatever brand it may be, but
Mhm.
we're backing ourselves because I've got 3 sons that need to know that this is the way that we're gonna lead our life with true intention and honesty and integrity because we believe in this. This is what's been around for thousands of years. We haven't changed it. We've just proven it via a piece of paper, which is a PhD,
Mhm.
and patents that the world gives you and all the rest of it. But it's topical and it's not injected. And you can do this at home and it's natural. And we're going to become, or we're giving families the option to receive this with true integrity and humbleness that we're providing something that's 100% natural and a solution for your families.
Mhm.
Well, you certainly have reached the right people.
Well, yeah, and look, it's just amazing because we get reached out to by so many people and to share our story with your community is a privilege. So I'm really grateful.
Yeah,
Of
thank you for
course.
coming on with us.
Yes,
This is
thank you so
amazing.
much for your time, and I feel like you're also introducing people to the Cook Islands and bringing that, into their consciousness also, so that's really awesome.
Yeah, well, when you share and you do things with integrity, people understand that because there's so much stuff going out at the moment where people can see the bullcrap.
Mhm. Agreed.
100%, and we've talked a lot about a lot of them.
But look, what I'm going to do is after this, I'll send you guys a discount code for your community to be able to look at investing in Tvati if that's something you guys would like. We also have subscription available to pet parents and pet families. But if you guys have got somebody out there that potentially can't afford what we do at Tvati, email me and I'll help you guys out.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, Sean, thank you so much for your time today.
No, it's a privilege, and I appreciate you guys, and I look forward to seeing you guys at Super Zoo and sharing Tabati with you also.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Pleasure.